So Henderson, Russell, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Glad you found parking out there on Friday night in Hillsboro, and we're going to really enjoy this next hour, getting to hear your wonderful music. And we didn't warn you, but there's no sound check. It's just you jump in, play a song.
All right, well, let's do it then.
Good night, Serenity. Now there's no one there to kiss your cheek and tell you everything will be just fine. No one to hold you close, rock you gently and to sleep, and wipe that salty saline from your eyes. I never meant to fall for you the way I did, the way I do. Every time I hear your voice or see you smile, I get lost, looking for those sunny skies we may never find, but that's alright. Time holds a healing hand, well, so they say. I understand. You never meant for me to feel this way. It might have been easier to let me go before you fell, but the bottom of this canyon feels the same. I never meant to fall for you the way I did, the way I do. Every time I hear your voice or see you smile, I get lost, looking for those sunny skies we may never find, but that's alright. I get lost, looking for those sunny skies we may never find, but that's alright. One day you'll understand the chance that I was offering, and somewhere out there maybe you'll find peace. So good night, Serenity. I hope you find someone to lie to you and tell you everything's just fine. I never meant to fall for you the way I did, the way I do. Every time I hear your voice or see you smile, I get lost, looking for those sunny skies you may never find, but that's alright. I get lost, looking for those sunny skies you may never find, but that's alright.
Nice. That's a good way to start off a music set right there.
Russell Henderson, born in Tupelo, Mississippi.
Yes, sir, birthplace of the king.
Is there a thing such as Tupelo honey, really?
I have no idea. The only Tupelo honey I know is like in Greensboro. It's a hair salon.
So how long were you living in Tupelo, or do you remember?
I was there until I was almost 5 years old, and then we picked up and moved to Greensboro. My dad worked for Wrangler.
Wow! I always loved those Wranglers.
The blue jeans, not the Jeeps, right?
Yes.
But yeah, there is a big Wrangler headquarters in downtown Greensboro.
Yes. So he brought us from Mississippi up to Greensboro, and I grew up there.
So back in the home, growing up, was there much music?
Yeah, there was a fair amount of music. My mom was really into like classic 50s rock. She loved like listening to like oldie stations, so that was always on in the car.
Fun.
And my dad was a huge Elvis fan, so that was always there, and I was always piling through the vinyl records there at the house. So
that's pretty good influence.
yeah, not bad.
And at some point, an instrument entered your life, and it was many people. It's piano because their parents chained them to the piano and forced them to take lessons. What was your first instrument?
It was actually the guitar.
Oh, okay.
A friend of mine had one, and I wanted to play, and messed around with his, and I kept begging Mom and Dad for one, and they finally got me one at Christmas time, and I think I was around 10, and I picked it up from there.
That's an appropriate age for a guitar.
That's really nice, yeah. And you've brought a nice guitar here with you today. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but we want to get as much of your fine music in as we can. So what do you have for us next?
So this next song, this is the title track from my new record that I put out back over the summer. The record's called Mudlarking. The song's called Mudlarking. And I'll play it, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it afterwards if you want.
Please.
It's kind of interesting, I think. It's my fun story. So this is called Mudlarking.
We're on the district line tonight, waiting on the Piccadilly transfer to arrive. We're going to see the world tonight, underneath the cold December skies. The adventure begins tonight. We're on the Upper Thames tonight, looking for ye old Cheshire cheese and a fire and a drink to warm ourselves against the night. We're looking for love again and hoping maybe this time we'll get it right. But London, night falls and life got in the way. Maybe this next time our love will find a way. We're watching the icebergs melt, slow at first, still vanishing day after day. It's sad to see something so beautiful disappear, then fade away. But London, night falls and life got in the way. Maybe this next time our love will find a way. But London, night falls and life got in the way. Maybe this next time our love will find a way. We're on the district line tonight, waiting on the Piccadilly transfer to arrive. We're going to see the world tonight. We're going to see the world tonight. We're going to see the world tonight.
Wow. Russell Henderson. Learn more at russellhenderson.com. Russell has 2 L's in it. Don't make the mistake that I made. russellhenderson.com. You promised us a story about mudlarking.
Yeah, so it's a little series of vignettes about a trip I took to London back in 2018, I think it was, trying to save a relationship, and it didn't really work. So, but I like the fact that it was a little bit of a challenge. A friend of mine asked me about this. I was telling him about this story, about this trip, and he said, "Can you think you can work the word Piccadilly into a song?" And I said, "Sure." And then he said, "You think you can get the name of the oldest bar in London into the song?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Ye Old Cheshire Cheese." And I said, "Okay, we'll make it happen." So,
It's always good to have a challenge.
yeah. So, and it was really cool. One of the last verses about an exhibit that was outside the Tate Modern Art Museum. Some guy had brought in a bunch of giant icebergs that he had harvested, and he set them out on the concrete in the area in front of the Tate. And every day we would walk by and they'd get a little bit smaller and they'd change shapes from where people had rubbed on them and touched them. And so they were watching them melt every single day. And it was just so gorgeous
kind of
and sad
cool.
at the same time.
Yeah, living art.
Yeah, I
Or
like that
dying
concept of
art.
art.
Yeah, I can't remember the artist's name. I really should look it up. But it was a very cool exhibit. So I
Russell,
really
for
enjoyed that.
people who don't know what mudlarking is,
Mudlarking is the act of rummaging in the dirt and mud along the banks of the Thames River in London, looking for artifacts and hidden treasures.
Oh.
And so I used it as sort of a way of thinking about looking for like lost love or hidden love in the dirt and the grime that comes with everyday life.
Kim, I think Excalibur is in there somewhere.
I'm here for that.
Yeah.
Here for I was noticing he did something on that song that we don't see real often with our acoustic artists. You were power chording your song, and I just don't. Maybe everyone else does, but we don't see a lot of people do that on the acoustic. But it made it very sing-along worthy. I was
Yes.
humming along right away every time those power chords started rolling up and down the neck.
Yeah, so I recorded the record. I wrote all these songs the end of 2018 through 2019, and then I started working on them at the tail end of 2019 and in through the pandemic of 2020. And I went overboard. My last record was mostly acoustic guitars, and this time I was like, I've got all this freedom, and I built a studio in my house, and so I started playing all the other instruments and started adding all sorts of crazy things. And with that particular song, was the first thing that I recorded after I bought a Mellotron, and so it sort of became this thing. And so it's very electric, and it has like some keys on it, and the Mellotron with Mellotron flutes, a la Strawberry Fields Forever. So going back to trying to play it acoustic the way I wrote it, I just felt like it needs those power chords to make it, give it that oomph.
And we can hear that version of the song that you were just talking about out on all of the various streaming services just by looking up Russell Henderson with 2 L's.
Yep.
Music.com.
Yes.
And the links are there.
All right, Russell, this is your show, and you should play us some more music.
All right. I'll give you another one. It's also on that record as well. It's called A Bottle of Bourbon.
I like this song.
Bob.
I am lying here, holding on to her in my favorite but fading photograph. And her fragrance still remains on the pillow I can't change, 'cause if I did, this all might be real. And she is gone, and I'm still here. And I'd have never guessed that it could end up like this. She told me not to fall in love, but I guess I'm not that smart. So here I am, a bottle of bourbon. When I reach the bottom, it's a start. I'm drinking a memory. And I'd have never guessed that it could end up like this. She told me not to fall in love, but I guess I'm not that smart. So here I am, a bottle of bourbon. When I reach the bottom, it's a start. No, I cannot recall, though try as I might, the moment this all went wrong. And all that I can hear is the strain in her voice when she said, I think we need to talk. Then she was gone, but I'm still here. And I'd have never guessed that it could end up like this. She told me not to fall in love, but I guess I'm not that smart. So here I am, a bottle of bourbon. When I reach the bottom, it's a start. I'm drinking a memory. I'm drinking a memory. This bottle of bourbon, when I reach the bottom, it's a start. I'd have never guessed that it could end up like this. She told me not to fall in love, but I guess I'm not that smart. So here I am, this bottle of bourbon. When I reach the bottom, it's a start. And I'm drinking a memory. I'm drinking a memory. This bottle of bourbon, when I reach the bottom, it's a start.
I'm digging this music tonight. Russell Henderson.
Russell, you has said that you recorded. Are you the only one on this record playing all these parts? Or did you bring in some people?
So I played everything on the record except for one bass line, and I had my friend John Gillespie come, and was honored to have one of my musical heroes come and play on the record.
Speaking of John, and
Speaking of which,
and so it's walk us through quickly about how one pieces together. Did you start with some sort of rhythm track or a click track or guitar, or how do you walk through adding different instruments?
So most of the songs on there, I started off with I had a click track to play acoustic guitar to, and I just worked through the acoustic guitar part, added a scratch vocal to it, and then just started trying to hear what I wanted in my head and figuring out how to make that happen. So a lot of times drums were actually the last thing that happened. Sometimes they were a little earlier. That last song was written on piano, so it started out with just piano and a vocal to a click track, and then just started building it up from there.
Nice. Must have
Added a
been
nice B3 organ to that one.
really fun not to have the pressure of $100 an hour in a studio. Like, pressuring you could relax into the project, and not just when you're doing the mixing and things, the levels, but also the placement of the different instruments and tracks in the left to right stereo spectrum. That must have been just a ball.
It was. I went overboard with a few songs and had to pull myself back a little bit. There's a song on the record. It's called "Run," and it was my homage to the Wall of Sound. A la Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys and that Southern California sound,
Right.
and I cannot possibly play that song live now. It just doesn't even make sense anymore to me because it's got all big horns and other things on it. So
You got the wall coming at you.
yeah, so I had to take that right out of the repertoire. I can't even play it on acoustic guitar anymore because it just doesn't sound right to me.
I don't know how they mixed those, whether they duplicated and replicated the tracks and had them all spread out, or whether it was all one massive mono mix or whatever. But it's like they threw everything but the proverbial kitchen sink in those things, and they sounded great.
Yeah, whatever it was, it worked. Both everything Phil Spector did in the 60s and everything the Beach Boys did in the 60s was so deep and so just like hitting you upside the head with a sledgehammer. It was pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's
Well-
one of my favorite types of music. So.
Right?
So, speaking of our favorite type of music tonight, it is your music, and what do you have for us next?
I'm going to go back a little ways. This was on the first record I ever did. It's a song called Roses. I wrote it when I was at East Carolina University back in the mid-'90s. And it's about a girl that I was dating at the time, and she had this penchant for saving every flower that had ever been given to her. And she would hang them upside down from the wall and let them die and dry up. And so she had all these black roses and flowers hanging from her walls. And I just thought that was a really interesting thing. So I wrote a song about it.
not creepy at all.
It's called Roses.
She likes like roses dead and black and hanging upside down or inside out. From her wall she clings to them like memories. me, she swears she never will forget. She likes like chocolate flowers melting on the dash of a car she'll never drive, but this dream still tastes so sweet. Now she's gravity and motion in my eyes, and nothing is changing, no, nothing but her hair. From black to red and back again, no, from black to red and back again, no, from black to red and back again. Now she's gravity and motion in my eyes, and nothing is changing, no, nothing but her hair. She loves like orange marmalade dripping from her lips, still split and bleeding, of no use to anyone or anything at all. But now she's gravity and motion in my eyes, nothing is changing, no, nothing but her hair. From black to red and back again, no, from black to red and back again, no, from black to red and back again. Now she's gravity and motion in my eyes, and nothing is changing, no, nothing but her hair. From black to red and back again, no, from black to red and back again, no, from black to red and back again.
More wow from Russell Henderson.
Russell, we were talking before the show about your beautiful guitar there, and it is an Alvarez. And how long have you had that?
I got this guitar in 1996.
Oh, nice.
It was a gift to me from an Alvarez rep. I walked into a music store lamenting the death of a previous Alvarez that I saved all through high school to buy. I was in a car wreck and the neck snapped off.
No.
And I was lamenting it to the owner of the music store, and he said, "Hold on, tell that story to this guy." As this guy was walking in the door, and I told him the story about my poor guitar that I'd saved for 4 years to buy, dying an unceremonious death. And he said, "Hold on." He went out to the car and came back out with this guitar and said, "Here you go." And I said, "This is beautiful, but I can't afford it." He said, "No, it's yours."
What?
And so I've had it ever since. It's my favorite thing, and I only buy Alvarez acoustic guitars ever since. So
That's a good reason for it.
I have about a dozen of them now. So he
Whoa,
definitely
really?
got
Oh my
his money's
gosh.
worth out of giving this one away. But yeah.
Well, Russell, I'm curious. We rather closely guard here in the Triangle our position as the nexus of North Carolina's progressive Americana, folk, college rock, all the good music stuff happens here in the Triangle. I'm wondering, how can I ask this inappropriate? What is your view of the Triad Greensboro music scene?
When I was younger, it was amazing. We had a lot of great live venues and a lot of great bands that were playing around the area. Dylan Fence.
I was in college.
Ben Folds was out there. You had Athenaeum, and folks that were from this area were coming there and playing all the time. And so many great venues. And then the DJ took over the dance music, and a lot of places closed down in the late 90s, and it died.
I think that happened everywhere.
It died an unceremonious death, and other places have managed to bring it back, and Greensboro has not succeeded very well at doing that, unfortunately. There's a thriving songwriter community there.
Right.
There are a few local places that have embraced the songwriters. Odin Brewing Company has been great.
Yep.
They do an open mic night that basically becomes a songwriter round all the time. There was another brewery that unfortunately the pandemic shut down called 1111. And
we went there all the time.
Only let live music be original there, original music, and so they were great. So it's trying to get back on its feet again. There's a lot of great artists playing around, but it's mostly bars and breweries right now.
Well, yeah, that's why I asked the question. Is we might get a little bit full of ourselves here in the Triangle. We have had dozens and dozens of amazing musicians out of the Greensboro area, and yourself included. You're in that pantheon. And I'm going to leave a whole lot of people out, but Sam Fraser and Laura Jane Vincent and Emily Stewart and Mike Gaffney and Dean Driver and Colin Cutler and all these fantastic folks who, if they're not from Greensboro, have gravitated towards Greensboro. And I think Greensboro and that area is really becoming the nexus of great singer-songwriter music in North Carolina.
Well, Dean and Barry Gray have done a lot to keep that going through the Doodad experience, and
absolutely.
We love those guys. And but it is the turn of the hour. This is WHUP LP Hillsboro, and our special time right now is to give a shout out to.
Support for Pass the Hat is brought to you by Matthews Chocolates, 104 North Churton Street, Hillsboro, North Carolina. The finest, the best, handcrafted, artistically curated chocolates and chocolate accoutrements, chocolate accessories, anywhere you can go. You can see Russell holding up this 1 pound chocolate bar. Matthew makes one of these custom made every Friday for our guests. We don't know what's in it. Are the ingredients on the back?
This is a dark chocolate almond butter crunch.
Oh, man.
And it is beautiful and gorgeous, and I'm so appreciative of Matthew's Chocolates for making this, because I can't wait to gain a pound or more.
And that's what Matthew does. Not only does he come up with amazing combinations of just the best locally sourced high-end ingredients, but he also, whenever he presents it, it is fantastically artistic. It's everything is a work of art, and everything he makes, you look at it and think, well, I can't eat that. It's art. But then you realize what's in it, and well, I have to eat it. So y'all get down to Matthews Chocolates, and if you want anything from Matthews for Christmas, you better go order it this weekend, because he is slammed.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. Okay, we're back to the live show. Russell is with us.
Russell, I'm wondering, with every songwriter that comes in here, why in the world somebody would want to write a song? Anyway, I still ask myself that. And it's, do you remember back, we talked about you getting your first guitar, I think it was age 14 or so, from your folks. And so, but writing a song then, what happens there to have a song?
I don't really remember exactly what possessed me to write my first song, but I know that my second song was most likely an effort to have something that a band I was playing in high school could play that because we couldn't seem to get it together with any cover songs. Like, for whatever reason, like, we just kept failing miserably with everything that we would choose. And so I was like, well, I'll just write a song, and y'all can just play exactly what I'm playing, and it'll work. And so I wrote a song, and from there it just sort of snowballed.
It worked.
It worked, and
How about that?
It worked well. And the song, actually, I think I won an award for it from Greensboro's the Talent Awards show that they had in Greensboro from the Youth Council. And it was fun. I liked playing it a lot back then, and I retired it about 20 years ago and stopped playing it. But
Well, so we won't ask you to play it tonight, but we will ask you to play anything else you'd like to share with us.
all right, well, been toying around with this. This is a brand new song. You guys will be the very first people to hear it.
World
We
premiere.
love
I
world
think, I
premieres.
think John Gillespie's heard the chorus to it, and that's about it. So it's more of your favorite power chords.
Sweet.
You spin me up, and then you shut me down. A broken record spinning round and around. You tell your stories, I tell mine. Everyone just another line in the sand. The wind sweeps them up, the tide takes them out. But I guess I thought that's what true love was all about. But this is the part where you say stay. I can't live without your love, but I'm tired of all these games that you play. But this is the part where I say no. I finally found my voice, and it's all that I can say. I'm better off without you anyway. You heat me up, and then you put me on ice. But shame on me, you fooled me once, you fooled me twice. No, I can't stand for all that made me lie down. You fill my sails again, just put me aground. This inconsistency is as stable as you. The dissonance between what you say and what you do. But this is the part where you say stay. I can't live without your love, but I'm tired of all these games that you play. But this is the part where I say no. I finally found my voice, and it's all that I can say. I'm better off without you anyway. And if this is all I have, if this is all that's left, maybe you can answer once for me. What will it take to let me go? But this is the part where you say stay. I can't live without your love, but I'm tired of all these games that you play. But this is the part where I say no. I finally found my voice, and it's all that I can say. I'm better off without you anyway. I'm better off without you anyway. I'm better off without you anyway.
Okay, if everyone listening is probably thinking what I'm thinking, and that is, why didn't I write that song? Everybody needs that song, or like 95% of people need that
No,
song.
probably everybody. Yeah.
That just speaks for everybody at some point in their life.
So Russell, that is a great song. I really enjoyed that. And
Thank you.
a couple questions. So when this song appeared and started coming out, was it? Do you remember? This is the part, like that hook line. Was that the first thing, and it grew from there, or what?
So sometimes I write lyrics first, and sometimes I write music first, but mostly I write music first. And I always thought I was unique in the fact that I would write these melodies in my head, and I would just kind of like mumble words and like make up nonsense. And then eventually a nonsense line would catch, and I would find myself repeating that nonsense line every time I got around to that part of the music. And I just recently watched the Beatles Get Back documentary and figured out I am definitely not unique in the fact that I do that. So in this case, I just kept finding myself coming back to this part where I would say,
This is the part where I say. This is the part where I say.
and I just kept coming back to that over and over again. And eventually it became this idea popped in my head. And I was like, oh, like, what about those toxic, I love you, I hate you, go away, please don't leave me relationships that everybody seems to find themselves in at some point in their life.
Yeah.
And so I just sort of wrote it from that point, then twisted it and wrote it from that point of view.
It worked.
Thank you.
Totally worked.
That's one that honestly I think if it found its way to the streaming services, that if it gets some mileage on social media, it's a song I could see going viral with people of all
yes.
ages. Like my daughter, who is 12, if she were to hear that song, she would send it to her friends. I know she would.
Oh yeah, totally. I could hear that resonating with pretty much everybody in all age groups.
Yeah.
So then, a little later in the song, if you went in, you morphed into a slow part. Did that happen later, or why would somebody interrupt? You got this driving thing, and then what happened?
So it was a continuation of just that idea of those relationships that are like up, down, up, down, up, down. I was like, wouldn't it be cool to just take this song that's just driving nonstop and suddenly start slowing it down, then speed it up a little, slow it down, and then come right back into it. And so I just sort of did that.
The nice thing about that is you were patient. You didn't say, "I've got to finish this song." Seemed like you let it sort of flow a little bit. And is that common to you, that you have the confidence to let the song sort of find its own way?
Most of the time. Sometimes I end up forcing it, and I end up with like crazy, crappy lyrics. And then I end up with some of my friends that will edit me. They'll be like, "That's a cliche. Stop that. That's terrible."
That's
Write
why you have
something
friends.
better. Yes.
That's when you go find new friends.
Well,
So,
I'm wondering, and not to be too flippant, but how do you write a song? And what I mean by that is, do you sit down with the intention of writing a song, or is it you're just doing your thing and the muse slaps you upside the head and you think, oh, this is a song?
Most of the time it is I'm just doing something random and something pops in my head. I rarely sit down with the purposeful intent to write a song. I've tried that many times in my life to say, I'm going to work on a song, and it rarely works out well. I did a challenge for myself back in, I think it was February of last year, where I said, I'm going to write a song every day.
Wow.
For the entire month. And of course, I chose the shortest month of the year to do that.
Good call.
It was a good call, I think. So I wrote 28 songs in a month, forcing myself to write. And out of the 28 songs, there's 2 that I actually liked.
That actually is a pretty high rate, I think.
So I was, and I don't know that they're really done. I won't know that they're fully done until I go in and sit down and record them all the way through, and then I say, maybe there's something that needs to be changed, but they're in progress.
Now, you mentioned a couple of songs previous. Somebody mentioned or challenged you to, could you fit in the name of the oldest pub in London, and could you fit Piccadilly? And that immediately made me think, can you? How do song prompts work for you? Do you go to songwriter groups or circles where they just throw out a prompt and you write a song based on that?
I've never actually done that. No. If someone tells me something, like sometimes I'll have just a conversation with a friend of mine, a good friend named David Lemon, and sometimes we'll be in my studio. He's recording a record there that I'm producing right now, and so I'll play him a little bit of music and just like do my little garbledy-gook over top of it. And I was like, I don't know where to go with this, and he'll like just throw out a topic for me or give me a line and say, go from here. And sometimes that works well for me. Sometimes it doesn't. But I find mostly mine come from some random moment of inspiration that pops in my head, some random line. I wake up in the middle of the night with something running through my head.
So it really needs to be internal rather than external.
Yeah, I have a really
that
hard
motivation.
time with that. I've tried object writing and all of those exercises, and they rarely work out well for me. I think the last object writing I did, someone said, write about the closest object to you, and it just happened where I was sitting. There was a little green plastic army man sitting on the table, and so I wrote a song about green plastic army men, and I played it for someone, and they said, you just wrote fake plastic trees again with different words, and I was like, well, I'm not going to do that again, so that didn't work for me. But yeah, most of the time, just random lines pop up in my head.
So you're getting ready to play us another song. Was there a random line that triggered this one?
Yeah, actually, this was part of that songwriting challenge that I did for myself last year in February, and
This is one of the two?
this is one of the two that I actually halfway like, so I'm going to play it for you guys. It may change a little before it gets onto a record, but I've been playing it live a touch from time to time, and it hasn't changed any, so I think it might be there.
It's a good start.
It's a good start. So, but the line came to my head, woke up in the middle of the night, and just had this line, there's a cold wind blowing in under the door frame. And I liked it, so
Yeah.
I went with it. So this is it. This is called Winter.
There's a cold wind blowing in under the door frame. I thought today would be much better. It's always more of the same. More of the same. This winter never seems to end. I wrote you 50 times, but I just can't hit send. And here I am, I'm going off the deep end, wondering if this heart can ever mend. It's raining outside and it looks like snow. I'm lying here and I can't decide. Should I stay or should I go? Should I go? This winter never seems to end. I wrote you 50 times, but I just can't hit send. Now here I am, I'm going off the deep end, wondering if this heart will ever mend. Wondering if this heart will ever mend. There's a cold wind blowing in under the door frame, and I thought it would be much better. This winter never seems to end. I wrote you 50 times, but I just can't hit send. Now here I am, I'm going off the deep end, wondering if outside and it looks like snow.
Did it work?
That is totally a keeper. If that is the best song of February, I'd like to hear some of the mediocre songs of February because I bet they're all pretty good.
That's my question. Is I want to know what was left behind.
I'll give you one other one that was. It's almost there, maybe. The problem is that amongst my challenge to write songs every single day, I got really bored with trying to find chords, so I started retuning my guitar. And, so I tuned the guitar to an open C chord as the open strings, and I wrote this song, and I really kind of liked it. And then I had to figure out how to play it in regular tuning.
Oops.
And so it doesn't quite work as well, but I played it live a couple of times, and people seem to like it okay. So
Can you not? Do you travel with multiple guitars where you could leave one tuned in the open C?
He's got 27 guitars at home.
I wondered
I
about
got
that.
way more than 27 guitars at home. But I usually take two guitars to shows, but I often leave them both in standard tuning. One of them's just more or less a backup in case I pop a string, which has happened to me recently a lot. For 20 years, I never broke a string, and then in the last 6 months, I've broken like a dozen in the middle of a song, and I don't know what's going on with that.
Supply chains, man.
Yeah, they're not making strings like they used to.
I think
That's
that
what it
may be
is.
True. So this song's called "Thinking of Me," and this is also from that February challenge. So.
Kelly said I've lost something that I can't see. I've been trying to find myself, but all I found is me. I wanna dance across the silver screen, leave you lying there, haunting all your dreams, thinking of me. Kelly said there's something wrong, but I don't know what she means. Been trying to save myself, but I'm failing at the seams. I wanna dance across the silver screen, leave you lying there, haunting all your dreams, thinking of me. But time goes by, and I don't know who I am anymore. Daylight comes, its darkness falls, and here I am on my own, thinking of me. Kelly said there's something wrong, but I don't know what she means. Been trying to save myself, but I'm failing at the seams. I wanna dance across the silver screen, and leave you lying there, haunting all your dreams, thinking of me, thinking of me, thinking of me.
Still good stuff.
I wonder if it's time to look through the February catalog and reevaluate. That did not suck. And I do the same thing. I am a writer, and I write a lot of stuff. And I am surprised sometimes when I go back a year later and look at a thing that I wrote that I really thought was terrible. But I find a gem. Some of it might be worth keeping, and then I redevelop it into something else. And I wonder if it's time to go back through your stuff.
It might be. It might very well be. I've been slowly starting to put together the first little bit of a new record, and I'm torn between two different concepts that I want to do. One is an abandoned concept. I wrote like 12 songs for a record back in like 2012, and then never recorded them, and left them fall away. I did a couple of demos, and
Yeah, there's got to be some good stuff in there.
so I wanted to do that, but then I have all these other new songs that don't fit in that theme. So I'm like the one that I played a few minutes ago, and
So trash the theme and pick the best songs.
yeah, but the theme is the theme was so good. I thought the record was going to be called Cosmology of the Heart, and all of the songs were love songs using astronomy as the way to talk about
I can see
it.
this.
And it was inspired by a friend of mine who is an astronomy professor who went through a divorce and was trying to figure out how to fall in love again. She had lost all her faith in love.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a song about that and used all these astronomy themes for it. And then that led to another song, which led to another song, which led to another song. And eventually I had this whole thing. And then I demoed a couple of them and then got busy with something else and stepped away from music for a year or so and put my guitar away and didn't touch it. And
Well, here's my thought. You are a fantastic songwriter, a prolific songwriter. You write great songs. You come up with great themes for compendiums of songs. You've had a lot of downtime during the pandemic, as a lot of folks have. You put out an album. You've got another album kind of in the works and piles of music. Are there places people can come and hear you play live?
Tomorrow night I will actually be in Whitsett, North Carolina, which is not far from my house.
Gibsonville, almost.
Yeah, right there close to Gibsonville. There's a place called Ferguson's Bottles and Taps.
Yes.
And they're having a little holiday party, early holiday party, and I'm going to be playing there. I'll play some of my original stuff and probably some cover tunes to make the people happy.
Nice.
And then I'm pretty much taking a break through the end of the year. I think the next show I have booked is at Starlight Cellars in, I think, Wilkesboro in maybe April. I haven't really pushed into January and February booking yet, so
I
that's
want to see
when-
Russell live.
It's when we do the double album. The one release is Cosmology, and the other one is Cosmetology or something else.
Well, and also considering the way people access music these days, are people accessing full albums? That might be something you might want to think about, is you could put together just a set of songs or an EP and go that way, because I don't know that people are always accessing
Yeah,
albums
people
anymore.
like streaming individual songs or small groups of songs and picking and choosing here and
Yeah.
there. That may be an interesting way to look at it.
Maybe think hashtag not album.
hashtag not
Yep.
album.
So Bruce Pioff reminded us today that for the artist to actually make more than a penny a stream, it's
Right.
producing and buying and selling those CDs counts for a lot. So
Yep.
Yeah,
True that.
There's not much. That song, A Bottle of Bourbon, somehow made it into the algorithm right after my record came out on Pandora, and I had like 10,000 streams on Pandora for that song.
Sweet.
It got lumped in with the Bodines,
Cool.
and Better Than Ezra and somebody else.
We
And,
will ride those coattails.
yeah, and so I was riding that coattail for a little while, and I got my royalty check for it. I got
That was nice.
that big payment, $2.54.
Yep.
It was.
That's one of the larger ones I've heard of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was pretty big. I felt really, really proud of myself for that big big
You
bumps
should.
there.
well, Russell, we got time for one 3 or 4 minute song. If you'd bring us home, please.
All right.
And then you will be our DJ and share
That's
the
right.
music you like.
Well, I'm gonna play the song that inspired the concept record. This is called Constellation.
She looks up at the stars with eyes as green as the sea. She finds her focus there, finds beauty and a sense of peace. complex equations fail to fully explain her life. These thoughts betray her mind, and she is left to dream. She traces constellations on a scale and tries to understand the meaning of learning to live her life and love again. She plans her lessons well and teaches with all of her heart. These tests of her strength and will, her resolve and faith in love. She traces constellations on a scale and tries to understand the meaning of learning to live her life and love again. When she surrenders, to me, she traces constellations on her scale and tries to understand the meaning of learning to live her life and love again. She looks up at the stars with eyes as green as the sea.
Sigh.
That is a fantastic ending to this live stream.
Really strong.
Russell, thank you so much. Wave goodbye to the live stream.
Thank you guys for having me.
Bye, live
It's been an
stream.
absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Oh, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. You just got to move
We've
your
got
chair.
you for another half hour.
Okay.
We're going to play a song off of your CD. We're going to play "Run" because
Woohoo! Running.
Kim Lane likes to run, and you mentioned the wall of sound thing you were working on. So we're going to play that as we turn off the live stream and we reconfigure here in the studio for Russell Henderson, guest DJ. Y'all check this out.